Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Hey, Look What I Found, a Mythos Buster production. I am Scott. With me today is Ian. Ian, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited.
I bet. We have a card from Union and Disillusion.
Which should be dropping next week, next Thursday, I believe.
Is it June
The
6th?
6th? Yeah.
Hmm. In
So
Canada,
soon.
that's June 6th, 2020. So it takes a long time to get to Canada, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I know the UK
Yeah, I
had
know.
shipping stuff.
That's like those times when you're like, oh, I still haven't played the first two of TCU, and like the first pack is out.
Yeah, it
Painful.
was terrible.
I guess it takes a while to transport games by like dog sled.
Yeah, it's all the rough tundra and the 24-hour, 7 day a week, 365 snow that we have.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah.
have to defrost the packs, right? Like leave them out on the counter overnight. Yeah, it's terrible. Um, yeah, I just why don't we jump into this because
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
I mean, unfortunately, this pack has been spoiled online. So if you're one of those people that seeks all those spoilers, you have already seen this card. But for those who are faithful to
Mm-hmm.
the FFG street date and respect that street date. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, here it is.
All you Father Mateos out there.
Ian,
Ooh,
would you like to read the card?
I would. Okay, so this is a Guardian asset, telescopic sight. Costs 3, and it also costs 3 XP. It's an event, has the intellect, combat, and agility icons. Item and upgrade traded. Fast, attached to a firearm asset you control that takes up 2 hand slots. Attached asset cannot be used to attack enemies engaged with you. Very important. And it has the reaction when you perform a fight action using attached asset. If you are engaged with no enemies, exhaust telescopic sight. This attack can target a non elite enemy at a connecting location. Ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords for this attack.
I think there's more text on this card than some of Lovecraft's actual short stories.
Accurate. Accurate.
And it's a telescopic sight. Of course, it's accurate. So let's unpack
Nice.
this a bunch. Um,
Yes.
so uh, like Bertez says in the chat, it's one of those event assets, quote unquote, because
Mm-hmm.
you play it, it comes out. So first of all, it's fast, which is awesome. No action there. So it has to
Mm-hmm.
attach to a firearm asset that you control that takes up 2 hand slots, and you can't attack enemies engaged with you.
Yes.
So
That is very important.
yeah, it's kind of limiting too because it has to be a 2 hand slot gun, so it's got to be a big one. And then you, as presumably a guardian, you have to attack enemies that are not attack enemies. You can't attack enemies that are engaged with you. So you're probably picking off enemies that are engaged with your compadres.
Mm-hmm.
So probably not a solo card.
And yeah, definitely not. Especially because this has to go on something that takes up 2 hand slots. So pretty much your hand slots are filled unless you're gonna bandolier it, which maybe.
Yep.
But in solo, you're probably not going to be doing that because if you're using both hand slots, it's probably because you're pulling out a lightning gun or shotgun or flamethrower or something. So yeah, I would agree. This is probably mostly I would say even it's mostly a 3 or 4 player card as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to 2 players.
And so after we get through all that, that's just getting this thing into play. We have the
Mm-hmm.
reaction when you perform the fight action using this asset. You have to exhaust it, so it's a once per round use,
Mm-hmm.
and it can
Yep.
target non-elite enemies. So a little bit more restrictive there. At a This attack can target, sorry, non-elite enemies at a connecting location. Ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords for this attack. So the way I'm reading this though is that uh, you can use this to fire at elite enemies at your location, but it can shoot at non-elites that are one location away.
Let's see. When you perform, if you're engaged with no enemy, exhaust, then
This attack
target.
can target. a non-elite enemy? I guess my
Yeah. I guess it can only target a non-elite. This attack can target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location.
hmm,
Because you can only trigger the rest of it if you're engaged with no one.
yeah.
And then, well, you say if you're engaged with no enemies.
I guess the
Yeah,
thing
that's a tricky one.
I guess the thing is if you're shooting at something at your location, you don't even need to exhaust this. So you're just using the gun normally. But exhausting this is you hoisting the gun up and maybe shooting at the next location. So maybe if you want to
Right,
use this,
right,
so if you want to use it to ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords, um, it can't be an enemy at your same location.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah, so at least you have some. I hesitate to call it flexibility because it's still not very flexible.
yeah.
But yeah, at least you can attack something at your location. It's just you're not getting the benefit of ignoring aloof and retaliate.
Hmm.
But at least you can still use it.
What's your take on it? What do you think?
It's rough because I love what it is. Because I loved the concept of the Springfield. The problem is I never played the Springfield, and so part of me is worried, like, since this is almost replicating the Springfield a little bit,
Hmm.
I know it's different because you can throw it on a different gun, and there's some other differences, but, I just worry about that, but I also think it's one of those things where maybe because this is mostly like a 3 or 4 player type effect. I wonder if it'll take a while for the community to really figure out how to use it properly. Because I've yet to see a really proper like sniper build out there that's mostly what it's concentrating on doing in multiplayer.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting too, the guns that this can be put on. You can put
Hmm.
a telescopic sight on a shotgun, and apparently use that for long
Not
range.
sure how that works in physics wise, but
If you are if you for some reason hate yourself, you could put this on a flamethrower, which then stops it from being useful because the flamethrower you have to attack something engaged with you. Like you must
yeah,
attack the highest fight engaged with you, and this says cannot be used to attack enemies engaged with you. So it just like shuts down your flamethrower, which makes sense.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to use a shotgun at far range, but it's especially hard to use a
Flamethrower.
use a flamethrower as a sniper weapon.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could throw it on things like lightning gun. The bar would probably be a great fit,
Hmm.
um, because of all the ammo you get with it and kind of the flexibility of how you use it.
Yeah.
Whereas like lightning gun, you get like 3 shots and that's it. So maybe you're not wanting to use it with this.
Hmm.
I think the tricky part about this is like what kind of guardian or someone who can take this wants to use this, because I think the guardian style we're all familiar with in 3 or 4 players. As the guardian, you just kind of stomp around, jump into a location, engage people, kill them. You're usually not wanting to leave people engaged with others and like trying to shoot them from afar.
Hmm.
Not to
Oh.
say that doesn't exist, but I just that's not the usual play style I see or build for myself.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of chat in the chat, if you will. And you mentioned it too about the Springfield. Um, and I had the amazing foresight to have the Springfield up and ready to go here. Uh,
Nice work.
so for the Springfield, just to recap for all those people who have not played the Springfield, including myself, 4 costs, 4 XP, blah blah. Uses 3 ammo. So action, spend an ammo, fight. You get +3 combat and deal +2 damage for this attack. Cannot be used to attack enemies engaged with you. So already, and actually the gun kind of looks like a Springfield. I'm not a gun guy, but the
Mhm.
telescopic sight, it looks to me like the art of a Springfield.
It
Um,
looks similar, yeah.
I think this makes the Springfield like pretty decent. My
Hmm.
only issue is this is 7 XP. and
Yeah.
14 XP if you want 2 copies, and that's only 6 shots. So you might want to throw in extra ammo, and like it just this is a lot. This is a lot to make work.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the reason it makes think of the Springfield is because they both have that kind of can't attack enemies engaged with you clause. And so the site takes that and just kind of builds on that and then adds this extra component where you can snipe into the next location. But again, the same old problem with Springfield a lot of times is there are other weapons that can do that same job potentially better.
Hmm.
Like mentioning the bar. Of course, if you throw the sight on that, then that's gonna basically turn it into a Springfield kind of because you can't
Yeah,
attack enemies engaged with you.
yeah.
So that's the funny thing about the telescopic sight is it's almost turning other weapons into the Springfield, which is uh, not necessarily a positive, but it does have this extra flexibility of attacking into a connecting location, which is another card this is kind of a combination of Springfield and marksmanship, I believe, is what that card is
Hmm.
called. Is that it? Yeah. So marksmanship is the tactics event 1 XP that lets you attack an enemy at a connecting location and similarly ignore the aloof and retaliate. Uh, Although that one can be used on a ranged asset as well. But
Hmm.
yeah. So this is kind of like a permanent marksmanship is what it's doing.
Yeah. And marksmanship, I believe, is what, 1 cost, 1 XP. So
2 cost 1 XP.
okay. Hmm. You know, I think where I'm going to use telescopic sight, if I do use it, it's going to be very very scenario specific, and it'll probably be standalone. Something like Rougarou, right? To the ability to take a a bar, let's say, or even the Springfield
Mhm.
or the lightning gun, slap this on there, and then be able to shoot the Rougarou from one location away, and not have to pay the clues to engage him to attack him. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
Although the
good.
Rougarou is elite, isn't it? So
Oh.
yeah, so it's not even like a
Oh.
yeah, because I was thinking of that too. It could potentially be a kind of boss weapon, but
Yeah. And Undimensioned and
yeah.
Unseen, they aren't elite, but you can't attack them except with your mind bullets.
Yeah, this doesn't shoot mind bullets, unfortunately.
Maybe if Agnes can just like attach this to her own self, she can shoot her mind bullets at it. No? Okay.
No, yeah. I do want to see the telescopic sight on her forehead now.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be good. Well, I've seen a few people mention in the chat the Thompson, because that's 0 XP.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're only paying the 3 XP for the telescopic sight, and it's a little bit lower XP than some of the other combos. You can use it kind of earlier in the campaign, throw it on there. Of course, the Thompson is expensive. That's kind of its one of its issues in general. But if someone can afford it, you
Mm-hmm.
got the Thompson. You throw on the site for the low cost of 9 resources, and
Yeah.
then you have 5 ammo to kind of snipe away.
Yep.
But I would almost kind of lean that direction versus trying to I don't know. It's just rough to me, like throwing a sight on a very like your lightning gun or something
Mm-hmm.
you sunk that much XP into, and then you're kind of uh, putting a limitation in it that you can't use it with enemies engaged with you anymore.
Yeah. One thing I could see this is if you are going like, and this is a side maybe, and this is gonna be a really weird build, honestly. Um, is uh, you putting this on like Nick's there's only one gun and it's shotgun,
Hmm.
whatever whatever deck that is. Um, this could go on stick to the plan. So
Hmm.
if you were gonna do like a big gun build and you did want to have this as an option, and if it's a standalone deck, you're probably playing that the level 2 bandolier. So this could work where you have a big gun uh, with a scope, and then you have like a couple sidearms for what it attaches to you. I don't know. It's um. Oh, it's. Oh, I thought upgrade went on Stick to the plan.
No, yeah.
It's supplier
Supplier
tactic.
tactic.
Never
Mm-hmm.
mind. Never mind. Never mind. I'm terrible. um.
I think the tricky thing is the way I see this working is like it would kind of have to be some janky, funky four-player build where someone is doing this and
Mhm.
then someone else. Like it would be cool to see someone do the sniper build and then another player doing like a survivor trap deck where they're like slowing enemies and keeping them trapped in locations,
Yeah.
so that the guardian can pick them off, or someone like Rita who can evade enemies, pin them down in certain spots, and then move out of there, and then the guardian can just like snipe them far.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, I could just do my standard like guardian thing and everyone just plays normally and be more efficient about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like telescopic sight is more for those players who are wanting to do some like crazy janky like fun stuff versus the players who just want the best option, because don't think yet this is your best quote unquote option,
Mhm.
but it's interesting and I like it for that.
Yeah. It gives me a few like fun deck ideas, but it's
Mhm.
not anything that I'm like, okay, my first upgrade is I don't know, charisma, and then I'm going telescopic sight, and then I'm going extra ammo or something, right? So yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess okay, I guess the last thing I'd say,
okay.
the more we've seen aloof trait used a lot in Circle and Done, and a lot of the cultist focus scenarios have the aloof traits,
Mm-hmm.
and those enemies tend to spawn not next to you. So this is good for the whack-a-mole scenarios. So I don't know if it's worth teching just for that, but it's something worth mentioning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super niche, right? Like it's
Hmm.
yeah. It's I really like the design though. It feels correct.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
get it. So
Yeah. I'm glad it exists.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on another episode of Look What I Found, a Mythos Busters production. This pack will be out in a week, so you can get your very own telescopic sight. Uh, Ian, we're heading right into recording episode 60.
Hmm.
Anyone who is in our Twitch chat, if you'd like to come join us on our Discord, I will. Oh, I should have had the link ready. But yeah, come join us in the podcast channel if you're not there already. And we'll see you shortly.